How's it going, everybody? Tumble Chef here, and welcome to today's recipes. Today's video will be a breakdown of toe tucks, also known as jump to backs, call it whatever you want to call it, but you will need a functional toe touch and a functional standing tuck. If you have these two elements, you've pretty much done the work for this skill. There are a couple of small things that people struggle with, like arm transitions and the knee bend and bouncing. But for the most part, if you have those things, you should be able to pick this skill up. Now, the skill is very important because in most tumblers' case, this will be the first level 5 skill that they will obtain. As always, a part of the deconstruction process is focusing first on the skills or the parts that make up the skill or come before it. We will be starting with the toe touch here, really just making sure they understand it conceptually. I think the most important part of the toe touch as it pertains to the toe back is making sure that the athlete gets their feet back together before jumping into the tuck. Makes for a better jump and more control into the tuck. Moving right along to phase 2, which is the functional standing tuck. In my opinion, the toe touch tuck from a power standpoint is going to be easier than that of a standing tuck, simply because you have momentum before the tuck, as opposed to with a standing tuck, there is no momentum. The only power you have to use is your jump. We really just want to make sure that the athlete has an understanding of this skill conceptually. What we don't want to happen is have the athlete have to think about doing the standing tuck correctly. We want to have as little to think about as possible when learning any new skill for that matter, but especially in this case, as we're trying to learn the toe tuck, we want to make sure that we don't have to think about doing our tucks correctly. So this is just a refresher, just to make sure the athlete is where they need to be with this skill. Hoping I didn't lose anybody. I'm feeling pretty good thus far. Now we're getting to the end of the refresher. Now we'll be moving on to phase 3, which is the arm swing. Now this is where a lot of people get tricked up at. We want to make sure that we are using our arms correctly in between the toe touch and the tuck so that we don't lose any of our momentum that we created in the toe touch. Having a fluid arm swing during the transition makes the entire skill far easier than having a choppy and broken up swing. So make sure to keep that in mind. Take your time so that you are on time with the rest of your teammates during your sequence. Moving on to phase 4. The knee bend during the transition period. Very, very important. One of the main issues that you will see when it comes to this skill is seeing athletes who have become accustomed to bouncing in between jumps. You do not want to do that in a toe back. You will have far less power bouncing in between than you will bending and jumping. Moving on to phase 5, combining the elements, the arm swing, the arms transition, and the knee bend in between the skills is what allows this to work together. I hope that today's video made sense. Peace.